It's 1 o'clock here on 90.3 KEXP here in Seattle. I'm Stevie Zoom in for Cheryl for the midday show with you for another hour. That set just finished up with the British band Fanfarlo, and that was a song called Deconstruction. Right now, we want to welcome back to KEXP and welcome back to Seattle Steve Earle. Thank you, sir, for being here again.
It's my job.
It's your job.
It's my job, and I'm glad I have one.
The Low Highway is the brand new album released this week by Steve Earle and the Dukes and Duchesses. And later on this evening, early the evening, 6:30 p.m., Steve Earle will be performing over at Silver Platters, the Queen Anne store. That's at 6:30.
Yeah, and it's just me for this. We'll be back with the band later to take care of serious business. But this is, it's a promotional tour. So I'm traveling around to record stores, and this is Record Store Week. We're leading up to Record Store Day on Saturday, so we're trying to make as many of those as possible. It'll be Music Millennium tomorrow and end up at Twist and Shout in Denver on Saturday for Record Store Day itself.
You did this the last album a couple years ago.
I did. It happened to come out around the same time of year, and but it's one of those things. It's funny. These record stores that kind of banded together and have survived everything. It's different. We used to make records for girls. Now we make them for nerds, and so vinyl's becoming a big deal. A lot of things I thought we'd never see happen. But it's kind of fun. This record, getting I'm actually, my last 3 records have been, there's been vinyl, and I'm starting to reissue some back stuff that never was out on vinyl, the stuff that I have the power to do that, and, can do that, and it's kind of fun.
The vinyl nerds will be happy to hear about some of those coming out.
But it's going beyond that. The thing about it is, almost anybody that listens to music, I think I even got a turntable, and I didn't think I ever would, because I've never been that particular about what I listen to music on. I listen on my phone as much as I do anything else, but for my preferred purchase format now is vinyl with a download code. That covers my whole life if I get a chance to do that, because I got a kind of a decent sound system again.
All right, that's good to hear. You ready for some music?
Yeah, it's kind of what I do. So, this is the Low Highway. Traveling on the low highway, 3,000 miles to the Frisco Bay. Across the rivers wide and along some plains, up a coast and down, back again. I saw empty houses on dead-end streets, people lining up for something to eat. The ghost of America watching me through the broken windows in the factory. Naked bones of a better day as I rolled down the low highway. Traveling on the low highway by the yellow moon and the light of day. A snow white crown on a mountain top, through the valley down where the shadows fall. Met a man with a rifle in his hand. Been away to battle in a distant land. We taught him to hate, taught him to kill. Now he's out on the road with a hole to fill. Nobody knows the price he paid, so he's taking his toll on the low highway. windows down and listening. Wheels turning round on the asphalt, sing. Every sound is a prophecy. I heard an old man grumble and a young girl cry. Brick wall crumble and the white dove fly. Call for justice and a cry for peace. The voice of reason and the roar of the beast. Every mile was a prayer I prayed as I rode down the low highway. So, the low highway. Had the best band I've ever had out on the road, and knew I wanted to make a record with that band. And, you know, started writing songs. I was writing songs for Treme, which TV show I was in, which is about post-Katrina New Orleans, and the story of post-Katrina New Orleans is linked directly to these sort of economic times that we're going through, because that's kind of what happened in New Orleans. Is the reason half the people are still gone and things aren't fixed is because there weren't any funds to fix them, and times are tough out there. So I start writing about what I'm seeing out the window and songs to kind of go along with that. That gives me a start. And the epiphany was that what I was seeing out the window of the bus was something closer to what Woody Guthrie saw than anybody that does my job has seen in a long time. We all do this job that Bob Dylan invented, and as he was sort of creating himself in Woody Guthrie's image, and we all done it with one foot in the 30s, you know, one foot in the Depression, one foot in the Dust Bowl. Music that's stylistically linked to that. And, you know, songs about hard times. And even nowadays, it's even a fashion statement that's linked to the 30s for singer-songwriters that are coming up. And, you know, they think, well, they're dressing like the band, but the band were dressing like the 30s. So it's, you know, but the weird thing is none of us, including Bob, ever had that, ever experienced that, ever witnessed that firsthand until now. So this record ended up being about that. And one of the things that, one of the first songs that was written was about, I play secondary and tertiary markets, and play small and medium-sized towns, and where all it takes is one great big huge big box store owned by a family with no conscience to come in to completely destroy an entire downtown. I was a boy, there were no limitations. Said my goodbyes in the Greyhound station. Here I am, a half a mile from where I grew up, in a parking lot, sitting in my pickup truck, and I'm thinking about burning it down, boys. Thinking about burning it down. Nothing's ever gonna be the same in this town. 10 gallons of gas and a bottle of propane. Electric igniter off my grill, and I still can't say for certain this thing will blow. But if it doesn't, gonna be the first one to know. And I'm thinking about burning it down, boys. Thinking about burning it down. Nothing's ever gonna be the same in this town. I'm thinking about burning the Walmart down. I always used to say, come back someday and settle down. Now I'm getting old, no place else to go. It's all coming well. So I'm watching the faces coming and going. Some of them strangers, some that knowing. It doesn't matter much how long I wait, 'cause the door's always open and it's never too late. And I'm thinking about burning it down, boys. Thinking about burning it down. Nothing's ever gonna be the same in this town. I'm thinking about burning it down, boys. Thinking about burning it down. Nothing's ever gonna be the same in this town. I'm thinking about burning the Walmart down. I'm thinking about burning the Walmart down. I'm thinking about burning it down.
90.3 KEXP here in Seattle. You're listening to live music from Steve Earle. That is Burning It Down. And the first one, the title song, The Low Highway. Steve Earle and the Dukes and Duchesses, the new album this week. And again, thanks for being here. And Steve will be over at Silver Platters, the Queen Anne store, at 6:30 this evening. Tomorrow, if you're in Portland, he'll be at Music Millennium at 6 p.m. And then we can all have a look at you on late night again next week.
Yeah, Monday, Letterman's Monday, and then we rehearse for 3 days, and the tour starts the following Friday night in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and then it's coffee breaks over everyone back on your heads.
Yeah.
Here we go.
You were just talking about what you're observing out that window. Is there still room for optimism for us?
Sure, I'm an optimist. I started having kids again when I was 55, but I don't. Nothing gets fixed by asking. If somebody said, it's actually a guy named Delbert Tibbs, who's a poet, and he's one of the characters in The Exonerated, which was a play I was on in off-Broadway. And there's a part in the play, and it's Delbert. It's a quote from Delbert. He said, you don't fix what's wrong with America by asking what's right with it. Why isn't anybody ever talking about, people will say, well, everybody's talking about what's wrong. Well, you don't you don't drive into a garage and say, what's right with my car? You ask what's wrong with your car, and you try to fix that stuff. And so that's what some of this is about. I mean, I think things are genuinely tough out there. I don't know what the difference between a recession and a depression is when it goes on this long.
Yeah.
I don't see, no one's been able to explain that to me.
Yeah. I just want to talk about the new record for a moment. This is a band record again.
Yeah, I mean, band record. I made a lot of records that were mostly made with the Dukes. Copperhead Road was mostly made with the Dukes, but it was also a track with the Pogues and a track with a band called Telluride, which was sort of a acoustic music supergroup. It was like Jerry Douglas and Bela Fleck and Sam Bush and Edgar Meyer. I did stuff like that. The Del McCoury Band. My first recording with the Del McCoury Band was on El Corazon on one track, and so those records didn't quite qualify as Dukes records. This is all the band, and we made it in 5 days. We just set up. We basically loaded off the bus into a studio, recorded, got back on the bus, and went back out on the road in the middle of a tour. And the end of a tour. The second. Generally, you make a record, especially you release it in winter or spring, then you spend the summer that follows it, out touring, and then there's usually a second summer before you actually make another record again. And a lot of times, records get written during those second summers. I think that's it. For bands that tour is their bread and butter, like we are, and that's what I do, whether I tour the band or whether I tour by myself. That's what the music business is now. It's a glad thing. I'm glad I like it, because touring there's not as much mailbox money in the music business as there used to be. You have to tour, you have to work.
Yeah. You got back together with your buddy Ray Kennedy,
yeah,
who produced this record.
Yeah.
The last one you did was with T-Bone. Now you got back together with Ray.
Well, Ray and I have never stopped working together. He mixed Towns. I recorded it in New York in my apartment. And he mixed it. He's mixed a lot of projects that I've done, tracks here and there since. We never stopped working together. And production projects. He recorded and mixed the Joan Baez record that I produced. So, and he's going to record and mix a Marianne Faithfull record that I'm getting ready to make in November, and which is going to be a trip. I can't wait. The very first song I ever sang in front of people was "As Tears Go By" at a talent show when I was in 7th grade, and I won an honorable mention. And it's Marianne and I have a lot of other connections too. So we've been friends for a while, and we've been talking about doing this, and I think it's actually going to happen.
Yeah. I know you were in San Francisco yesterday, and one of the songs on the new one for Warren Hellman, the man of Hardly Strictly Bluegrass.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
a little banjo tune for him.
Yeah, it was written because Warren Hellman was a banjo player. I'll remember him as a banjo player rather than an investment banker. He was the guy that brought you Hardly Strictly Bluegrass, and also the man that's single-handedly responsible for anyone that works for the city of San Francisco that it's collecting a pension right now owes it to Warren, because after this, their pension system, like every other pension system, was tied to stocks, and this collapse on Wall Street had threatened the San Francisco's pension system took a really big hit, and it was about to collapse, and Warren wrote one check. So every teacher, every cop, every fireman, anybody that draws a city check in San Francisco that's retired in the last few years owes having any kind of retirement at all to Warren Hellman. He was a good guy, and he was my favorite capitalist, and he changed his mind about a lot of stuff that he believed. He stopped voting as a Republican, started voting as an independent, and he voted against Bush and the second election and all that stuff. He changed his ideas about a lot of stuff, and credits me with some of it. And I, learned that not everybody that on the other side of this issue is doing it because they're evil. They're doing it because they believe something that just isn't true. They've been told a lie and they bought it. They've been told a lie all their lives. And capitalism's not evil in and of itself. It's like not believing in capitalism's like it's not Santa Claus. It doesn't go. It's a force of nature. It doesn't go away just because you don't believe in it. But it's also not a religion, and the market won't take care of anything. The market has no conscience. It has no soul. The market does what the market does, and thinking that the market is gonna. The biggest lie out there is the reason that things aren't good is because we've never ever let the market just do what it'll do. It's all that we've always interfered with it, and that's simply a lie. We've not interfered. We've come closer to not interfering with it all in the last 10 or 20 years, the last couple of generations, and maybe even, and we're in a lot of trouble right now because of that. It's just one of those deals. And Warren and I talked about all that stuff, and he died really suddenly of a form of leukemia that usually doesn't kill people. It was one of those things. It was tough. It was tough for everybody. But there's going to be a Hardly Strictly for at least another 10 years, and as long as there's one, I'll be in Golden Gate Park the first week of October every year.
That's good to hear. I know a lot of my friends down in the Bay Area have seen you and have been going to Hardly Strictly Bluegrass for a number of years, and will continue
to go.
To look
it's
forward.
Absolutely free. It's 5 stages. It's great music for 4 days in San Francisco every year, the first weekend in October.
I want to mention something else here. This aside from the new album musically, you are a part of this Songs for Slim.
Yeah.
Slim Dunlap from The Replacements, who had a stroke. And there's some songs that bands and you and other people have been recording to help him out in that regard. And the one with you came out a month ago, I believe. It's called Times Like This.
Yeah, and it's a song of Slim's that I really dug, and I was really lucky to get it because I think people kind of fought over it. And Joe Henry produced it. It was also a chance to work with Joe, who's been a friend of mine for a long time and has wanted to produce my last 3 records, so we finally got it. It didn't quite win the sweepstakes for whatever reason. Eventually, I'll probably make a record with Joe Henry, but I got to do a track with him, and it was a blast. And I knew Slim, and I knew, those guys and I are the same graduating class, and I did part of a tour with the Replacements back before Slim was in the band, but Paul decided to do a handstand on the stage at the Ritz, and somebody grabbed it, a punter in the pit grabbed his wrist, and Stinson thought it would be funny to poke him in the butt with his guitar, and he went over into the pit and broke his wrist, and you could hear it in the wings over the Replacements, and that ended the tour. So that was it. That's kind of how I got to know those guys. And Slim, he had a stroke, and he's just not bouncing back from it, and it's been really tough, and I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know, but the first single was, these are all been for auction, and it's one of those things. It's this really kind of community. It's like I said, we make records for nerds now, and it sort of pays off in some areas when you want to raise money for something. You can do these really severely limited, pieces of music. Eventually, that'll probably be more widely available, but because somebody will bootleg it for one thing, you can pretty much count on it. But the first single was a replacement single, the first replacements recording in a long time, and then mine was the second one, and it was cool. It was an honor to be part of.
Yeah, everybody that I know that's saw the band so many times back in the day, and they've always got a story that what they witnessed on stage in addition to the music.
You have well, you know what? The truth of the matter with replacements gigs, and I saw a bunch of them because I was on them. I probably saw them play 7 or 8 times, and I saw one really great show out of 7 or 8. And so the fact of the matter is, if you caught them on a good night, you didn't see anything. Nothing happened. They would play. And if you caught them on the other nights, then they'd play Green Acres and like cartoon themes and stuff. And there was a fair amount of contempt for their audience, which I was never quite with, but it was kind of hard to watch sometimes. But they didn't have much respect for people that paid a lot of money to see them sometimes. I'm afraid.
Yeah. You ready for a couple of more songs?
Yeah.
All right.
What am I playing? Oh, yeah. In my neighborhood in New York City, and this is the only New York City song, I think, on this record, which hasn't happened in a long time, because this is where I live. But there's a church, and I walk past it on my way to the gym, every day when I'm home. And Tim Robbins grew up in my neighborhood, and he and I have been friends for some time, and we were he's recently fled New York City for a while, but he's living in California now. But he and I were walking past the church, and he said, I was an altar boy in that church. And I said, wow, things are really getting tough. They must be because, they've just opened up a soup kitchen in that church. And he said, no, man, there's always been a soup kitchen in that church since I was a little boy. And it dawned on me that what I was seeing was not a new soup kitchen. What I was seeing was a higher demand for a soup kitchen. Therefore, the line was going out the door and up 6th Avenue. So, and it just, these are, people in my neighborhood that come there, and people from outside the neighborhood probably that came to get something to eat, and there's more and more of them every day. And we choose sometimes like what's visible to us and what's not. There's a hole in my shoe, I don't mind, 'cause it keeps me connected to the ground when I'm feeling like maybe if I ain't careful I'll just blow away. Then the lightning strikes, the thunder rolls, and I'm okay. Everywhere I go, people pass me by. Never know 'cause I'm invisible. Shadow hanging low, a footstep just behind. Living on, but I'm invisible. Taking my time, I ain't slow, 'cause it ain't like I got any place else to go. Yeah, but there's ghosts in these streets, and they're calling my name, and they follow me down in the dark again. Angel bending down to whisper in your ear. invisible. Travel anywhere, you will never find a purer heart, 'cause mine's invisible. I'm invisible. So,
I just want to say I had a look at that video this morning of that song, and it almost had the feel of it that, as if you directed that.
Tim Blake Nelson directed it. And I don't know, you know who Tim is. He's an actor and a writer. If you saw Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, he was the little short, you know, kind of goofy-looking inmate. He also wrote and directed a film I was in called Lisa Grass. And Tim, you know, he's from Oklahoma. He's from Tulsa. He's a Jew from Tulsa, which is like, you know, starts out, you know, kind of weird right there all by itself, and kind of a unique way to grow up. And he went to Brown. He and Davis Guggenheim were roommates there, and he's kind of might be the smartest guy I know. And I know some smart guys. And he wrote a part for me in a film that ended up not getting made because the star went off to make a pirate movie, and, you know, scheduling thing, and so the funding went away. And then he wrote another part for me in this other film, and we got to be friends. And I asked him to direct this clip, and he scripted it. It freaked my manager out because, you know, I come from the '80s, and a lot of video clips got made, and you got these treatments that were like, you know, they were like, let's see, an old car sitting in a lonely street, and then the band is set up in the middle of the street, and then you just sort of let art flow over you. And it was like, you know, all these really ambiguous one-page treatments were what most videos were shot on and funded based on. Tim wrote a script, shot for shot, and beginning with them shooting on the Brooklyn Bridge. It was so detailed that I got, at one point in the process, I was on the road. I was traveling all over the place doing, you know, I was just playing shows on the West Coast, solo shows out here. And I flew into town, and I wasn't able to be there for the day that they shot all the stuff, you know, that I wasn't in, all the conceptual stuff with the homeless guy, who's not really a homeless guy. He's a really good actor, whose name I can't remember right now, which I'm embarrassed about, but he's a member of a theater company that Tim's involved with. And it opens with him coming across the Brooklyn Bridge. And I come up out of the Holland Tunnel, and, you know, in a car coming from Newark, and I've seen the shot, you know, the sketches for costumes and stuff for this little movie that Tim wrote. And I look up and I see one of the characters I saw in the sketches walking through this park. And then I see the film equipment, and then I see Tim. And I realize I'm driving past my video being shot because, you know, I didn't work in it until the next day. And I called him, and I tried to get down there, but they'd wrapped by the time I could get out of the car and get my stuff up. I live on a third floor walk up, so, like, you know, decarring's not simple sometimes when you live in New York City. So, but I'm really proud of it. I think it might be the best clip that I've ever been involved in. But I can take almost zero credit for it when it gets right down to it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's got a really good look to it.
yeah, I'm really proud of it. I'm gonna get this into a really weird tuning that never existed before a few days ago. Because I didn't write this song. I'm gonna do one more. And I wrote this song on mandocello, and I think I wrote it on mandolin, played it on mandocello on the record, which is tunes like a mandolin, but way, way, way lower. It's way bigger. So I'm trying to find ways to play it on guitar, so I wouldn't. At least on this thing, I wouldn't have to drag so much stuff around, but I think I figured it out because it is about the song. I got a little boy, and his name's John Henry, and he's turned 3 years old on April 5th. And he's when you start having kids, as at my age, the math is different. My older boys, Justin and Ian, are having to watch me be a way better father than I was when they were growing up, and that's not lost on me. I feel it and I hear about it from time to time. And the other part of it is, if I take really good care of myself and nothing weird happens, one of the things that we just can't calculate, then I might live long enough to see him through high school, get him into college. And that's just a fact. And it makes you think about it differently. I'm one of 4 smart guys that dropped out of high school at the same time, kind of my little group of peers. And I belonged to a peer group of exactly 4 when I was growing up. And they're all gone except me. And I don't know why this is. I'm only 58, but I have reached an age where I'm losing people. And so it makes you think about it. So I probably, in a lot of ways, wrote this song because I had to, because I felt like I needed to leave something specific behind just in case. And also, John Henry has autism, and he was diagnosed just before his 2nd birthday. And we're on it. He's in a really good school, and he's going to be okay, I think. He still makes eye contact, and he's socially engaged. He just doesn't talk. He's really smart, and he looks like his mother, and I think he's going to be fine. And we have resources to deal with it. This is for John Henry. Here we are sitting in the warm sunshine. I'm holding your tiny hand in mine. God knows it ain't gonna be any time before you're grown. I was young when you come along. Chances are long before that day comes. My time in this sweet old world to be done. I'll be gone. You're looking at me, I'm looking at you. God knows it's more than a grown man can do. Not to break down and cry like a fool when you smile at me. I can only hope I do my best with whatever time it is we got left. When everything's done and said, you remember me. Remember me on some sunny day when everything's going your way. 'Cause on the day you were born, I prayed that's the way it'd be. Remember me on a stormy night when there's no sign of shelter inside, and you soldier on through to the light. That's all you see. Remember me. Now you got angels watching over you. Your mama don't suffer fools. Ain't anything she wouldn't do for you, I don't believe. One of these days you'll be alone, and you have to stand up on your own. And then when it's muscle and blood and bone, remember me. Remember me on some sunny day when everything's going away. On the day you were born, I prayed that's the way it be. Remember me on a stormy night when there's no sign of shelter inside, and you soldier on through to the light, 'cause that's all you see.
Thank you very much. You're listening to Steve Earle live here at KEXP. He's going to be over at Silver Platters Record Store, the Queen Anne Store, at 6:30 this evening. Music Millennium in Portland tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Monday night on TV on Late Night with David Letterman. The Low Highway is the new album this week on New West label. Again, sir, thanks for being here this afternoon.
Thank you. Appreciate
And just thanks for the music and your the voice and the commentary of what you observe that's going on. It's just wonderful.
Thanks. It's my job, and I'm just glad I got one.
All right. All right, just one more thing here on your quick visit to Seattle. Any particular food are you going to have before you leave town?
Well, I had a Hangtown Pride this morning for breakfast, and I'll probably have oysters again before I leave. I probably have 13 coins in my future before we leave town because we're going to drive to Portland, so that's a possibility. So that may happen. It's always open. It's always a possibility.
It is, and it's
fine
close by.
dining 24 hours a day.
Tonight at Silver Platters, 6:30 p.m. Thanks to our engineer Kevin. It's 90.3 KEXP Seattle.